Appendix B, Bible Numbers. Bible numbers offer a fascinating study. Many ingenious theories account for their oftentimes strange use in Scripture. The ancient writers without doubt employed a numerical code lost system in our present age. The Hebrew Kabbalah, based upon tarot symbolism and philosophy, throws much light upon these otherwise enigmatic numbers. For an example, we will work out according to the traditional Kabbalistic formula one of the outstanding numbers found in the Bible. Then, by using the key words and correspondences found at the end of each arcanium in this book, we should be able to unlock the hidden meanings behind this number. The same system can be used on any other Bible number. John's Gospel records the episode of the 153 fishes. Why should an exact number be mentioned? Why not an even number or an approximation, such as a great number? Surely Peter had no reason to actually count the fish, so far as we can see. Before breaking down the number 153, let us analyze some of the symbolic elements of the story in the 21st chapter of John. The disciples had been fishing in the night and had caught nothing. Mystically, fish in the Bible refer to spiritual nourishment. Night typifies the darkness of our mental vision. We, as prodigals, before the blindfold of Arcanium 022 is removed from our eyes, fish in the darkness of our spiritual night and catch nothing of eternal value. Then in the morning, typical of the opening of spiritual sight within us, Jesus appears, representing the great high priest, or Hierophant of Arcanium 5, who brings us that light. In John's story, Jesus told the disciples to cast their net on the right side of the ship, implying they had been fishing on the left, or wrong side. When they followed the master's advice, they could not draw the net out of the water for the multitude of fish it contained. In symbolism, left signifies away from God, right toward. Most of us perform awkwardly when we try to use our left hands. As prodigals, we live spiritually on the left or wrong side of God. Fishing on the other side of the ship of our life, therefore, simply tells us we have to get right with God. We can do this only at His direction, by following His will, not ours. As mentioned in Arcanium 12, the name Peter means a rock, the rock of truth. Truth is what we really fish for. As fish are an emblem of faith, we can discover truth only through faith in the Son of God, who stands ever waiting to aid us in the light of day on the shore of our life. Now to take apart the number 153 and see what it tells us. The first step is to add it crosswise, which gives the number 9 as its root. This refers to Arcanium 9, the sage who walks the upward path of the royal road toward the New Jerusalem. The key words of this card are wisdom and understanding. These are important elements of the spiritual nourishment we receive when we fish on the right side of the ship. In human experience, it gives prudence. On the spiritual plane, it expresses itself in brotherhood. Next, subtract 9 from 153, which leaves 144. Divide 144 by 9, which gives 16, to which add 1, making a total of 17. 17 is called the power of 153. Luck and faith and reason are key words of Arcanium 17. In human experience, this card signifies hope. Spiritually, it stands for the search for truth. When we stop trusting to luck, when we cease to rely upon the all-sufficiency of human reason, the naked truth about life reveals itself to us in simplicity and beauty. Subtracting the power 17 from the root 9 gives the number 8 as the ruling factor. In this case, a -8. Whenever the root is larger than the power, the resulting ruling factor is plus. When the power is larger than the root, the ruling factor is a minus. In interpretation, plus signifies positive, minus means negative. The ruling factor is the medium through which the root and power operate. In the number 153, this medium is blind justice, the title of Arcanium 8, or small justice, one of its key words. It functions on the minus, negative, or wrong side of expression. In human experience, 8 signifies self-seeking on the one hand, self-denial on the other. Self-seeking creates small justice in the world. The other key word, equilibrium, applies only when the prodigal tunes in on the spiritual wavelength of humility and self-sacrifice. This brings him into balance with the Spirit of God, waiting patiently at his side to help him, and restores a large measure of his original spiritual equilibrium. Adding the root and power, 9 plus 17, gives 26, called the object. As this number is greater than 22, it must be reduced by adding crosswise to find its root. This gives the number 8 as the final object of the number 153, which, as we saw in the ruling factor, tells us that the goal of our life should be self-sacrifice. Self-sacrifice was the key note of the life of Jesus. Therefore, any prodigal who follows him on the royal road has to go and do likewise. The final step in analyzing the number 153 is to consider its component parts separately. 1, 5, 3. Arcanium 1 represents the prodigal spirit. Arcanium 5, the great high priest. Arcanium 3, the queen. By using the keyword system, we read it thus. When the prodigal turns his will, 1, toward the law, 5, of love exemplified by the great high priest that brings him into union, 3, with God. To sum up the Kabbalistic interpretation of the number 153, when we cease to rely on human reason and luck, when we acquire faith in our great high priest, who is the Son of God, when we fish on the right side of the ship of life, when we give up our self-will and depend on God's will, then he nourishes us on the spiritual bread that gives wisdom and understanding. There is a further application of this process. It is based upon the numerical values associated with the phonetic spelling in the original languages of biblical names and places. This code system enables you to read between the lines and learn the story within the story, but it can never be learned from a book.